stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. We have some special guests from Berger. We have basically, I guess, the mayor and council from Berger right there. Stand up so we can see you. Your back of your head will be on TV. Everybody.
Yes.
We appreciate you coming. They wanted to observe, so they're here, and we welcome them. We have a few agenda changes. We have Lee Zell, who's with the NLC Service Line Warranty Program, and he is not on the agenda, but we're making room for him after the city administrator's report. So it'll be 2A. Okay, the sign regulation is tabled until the 14th of October, so that will not be discussed tonight. Everything else, I believe is in. We may discuss and not vote on a couple of items. It depends on the wishes of the alderman. So without any further ado, I will say a little bit that I won't have my report, but I'm going to fill in a few things for the benefit of people from Berger. They have they had a couple of questions, and one of them said, what does it take to speak at a Board of Aldermen meeting in Herman? And basically, there's several ways you can speak. If we're having a vote on an ordinance item, when the aldermen are done, you can step forward and speak on it. You don't have to sign anything in advance. If you want to talk about something that's not in an ordinance and is not is not part of a previously arranged discussion, you can provide a notice to the city clerk saying you'd like to be on the agenda, and we will put you on the agenda. You need to tell us what you want to talk about in some specifics. Just talk about, say I want to talk about speed limits is not enough. Tell us you want us to talk about speed limit signs at this place, this place, this place, or whatever. Be as specific as possible. And then you can come in and we will put you on the agenda and you'll have your own time slot. And you basically get enough time to finish whatever it is you want to talk about. If you start to say the same thing 2 or 3 times, we might call time on you, but otherwise you get plenty of time. And then the third way is you can sign a citizen's comment card. They're numbered before you come in, and bring them in here when you come in the room, give them to the city clerk or to me, and you'll be allowed to talk on the subject that you stated, and you'll get 3 minutes, or basically 3 minutes. So that's the 3 ways you can talk. Why do we do that? Well, because otherwise we have to remember this is the city meeting. This is a city business meeting. This is not the speaker's corner. This is not dedicated to letting everyone talk until they're tired. It's to conduct our business, and we have quite a bit of it tonight. And I'm sure Berger and all the other cities do too. This is the way most cities operate, and we've adapted this at least 2 years ago, and it's worked very well. So, having said that, the second thing I wanted to talk about is, as you'll notice, we have 3 aldermen here. And we have 2 aldermen and an alderwoman. And that creates unusual situation. If you have a 4-person council or board of aldermen, and one is not there, you have 3 people. And the rules of voting are a little bit different than 3 people. Basically, Dave, you might want to actually help me out here. I always have trouble with it, but if with 3 people, if one person votes no, the motion is killed, even though the other 2 vote yes, because it's a majority of all the officials. And so,
Well, on a motion or a resolution, you need a majority of those present.
or a majority of the quorum, so a 2-to-1 vote would carry the day and win. But if it's an ordinance, the statute says that an ordinance requires a majority of the Board of Aldermen to vote yes for it. So if you have 4 aldermen, a majority of that board is 3. So if you only have 3 people present at the meeting, 2 vote yes, 1 votes no, you're stuck. You don't have that required third vote.
Or if one abstains, you still are sunk, because you only have 2 for, so it goes 2-0 and 1, I guess. So you're still sunk. And if it's an ordinance and it's voted down, you have to start over again, basically. So it's not a good situation, and we're going to think about ways to solve that. But I bring that up because that can be a problem. One time we had it, we've only had it one time since I've been mayor, and Bruce Cox changed his vote. He wasn't against it in the first place, but he did think he wanted to abstain for personal reasons, and fortunately it changed, and we were able to go on with it. So that's the 2 things that I was going to talk about, and so people can realize it's pretty easy to talk here, but we do have rules. Now, once you're done, you sit down, then you're done. You can't pop back up on another subject and start in again. So the reason I'm saying all this is because we have had this. We've had our fair share of really pretty much rowdy, contentious meetings, and we can't have that. So that's what we have now, and that's what we'll go with. Now, that's my report.
Okay. Still looking for the report.
Well, I said I was.
Okay. At tonight's meeting, if the BOA approved the bid on the hospital clinic building, the city and FEMA can move forward with the purchase and the demolition. I have submitted the financial assistance agreement with the Department of Natural Resources for the Water System Engineering Grant. That should be happening soon. Engineers at Burns & McDonnell have sent me a preliminary design and scope of work for the airport. And MoDOT Aviation Grant will pay for 90% of that work. City is still waiting for FEMA to allocate the funds for the last flood incident. I'm in contact with SEMA on a weekly basis for updates. And West Paving has milled the section of Epley-Fricke that is to be paved so that when they have time in their busy schedule, they can apply the overlay. That's that part of it. Now, Mr. Lee Zell is here from the National League of Cities with a service line warranty program that we've discussed a couple of times in the past. I think the mayor and I and Dave had him on a phone conference. What this amounts to is a warranty on your water lines, your personal water lines, your personal sewer lines, and your inside plumbing, if you so desire. This is no cost to the city, and it's completely voluntary. And I'd like for Lee to take a few minutes and speak of it, if he could.
Good evening. Thank you all for inviting me. I'm Lee Zell. I'm here to discuss the National League of Cities Service Line Program. The program itself is a voluntary program available from the National League of Cities. The National League of Cities, in the last 11 years, our purpose is your state league is one of 50. And those state leagues created us 93 years ago to be your eyes and ears across the country to look for common public policy solutions to issues that cities all across the nation are working on, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you come across one of these issues. So in this case, about 13 years ago, water and sewer infrastructure, there was a report that came out that said our water and sewer infrastructure in the United States was rated a D+. And this was from the American Society of Civil Engineers. At that time, we started asking the cities, where are you on this topic? Is this something you're working on? Do you need us to spend greater time focusing on this? And as cities responded to us, what we heard in their response was, yeah, we have a 1, maybe a 3 or 5, even a 10-year plan, and everything they were talking about, they said, was within the right of way. And when we turned that around and asked them, we said, now, when we looked at the same issue, we happened to look at your city like you would a postage stamp from edge to edge, top to bottom. And when we looked at that, we recognized that the issue is the infrastructure that is affected is not just public, but it's actually some of it's private. And that is, on a daily basis, it's very common in a city, not quite this size, to have about 100 calls a month related to water/sewer. And those calls come in from your residents across the city, and they're reporting there's a problem out here, we need the city to come and take a look. And pretty much 100 times called, 100 times the city's gonna show up and say, we're on the curb, we're here with our staff, and we found an issue. But interestingly, 93 out of those 100 calls, 93 out of the 100 end up being something outside, beyond the right of way, beyond the responsibility of the city. So often that means your staff is speaking to a resident saying, Miss Davis, we found the problem. Unfortunately, it's just into your yard, so this is something you're gonna have to take care of. Immediately after that conversation, our research showed us that that resident and many others just like them, they tell us their next step is to reach out to one of the elected officials. And this is, they're gonna make a call, make a personal visit, and that's because they're gonna come in and say, hey, Mayor, I know you. I mean, we went to school together. Our children play baseball together. Maybe I was your 3rd grade teacher, Mayor. You know, I need your help. Can't you make an exception? And this is common across the whole nation. So after realizing my staff's already pointed out the situation, I can't take public tax dollars and use them on private property. I really want to help, but I can't do that. The elected officials, the mayors, came back to us and said to the National League of Cities, we would like your help. We would like to find a way to get ahead of this issue, because we realize negotiating, as you might call it, with your resident when they're ankle deep in muck is a really challenging job. All they're looking for at that moment is, I need a yes. And so we heard exactly what the cities were asking us for, and the National League of Cities Service Line program is all about that. This program is no cost to the city. We don't use any of your city tax dollars. It is a completely voluntary program for the city and for the residents to participate in. There is no requirement for any resident to participate, so they can listen, understand, and then they can say, it's not for me, but their neighbor might say, this is my saving grace. I have no way of handling this except for this program. So what the program does is we simply communicate to your residents via a letter in the spring, the fall, and the winter. And we communicate to them on the national issue that I just described. This is a national issue. It's not your city. Your city is doing great. So don't look at your city leaders and go, that's the problem. Instead, it's a national issue. But however, locally, we're doing well because we have a budget, we have the resources, and we have a plan. At the same time, recently, in your case, you've done and you are still doing a lot of internal infrastructure upgrades, your water sewer system. Well, the problem is as cities improve their system, they tighten it up. The leaks aren't there anymore because you've done a great job. But the problem is when you tighten up your system, the weakest link in the system is on the resident side. So almost immediately after systems are improved on the city side, the residents start having their systems fail one at a time. And they start calling the city going, what's happening? It never did this before. And so this kind of program is meant to allow us to get ahead of that coming wave that comes after improvements on the city side. This is important that the city do these things, but also it's important that we help the residents understand that their system is getting old too. A lot of residents are used to saying every year or every few years, I need to put a new paint job on the house. Sometimes I'll put a roof on it and make sure my yard looks nice. But the last thing on their mind is the last time, probably when they built the house, when they actually had those water or that sewer line replaced, and it's that old. It's 65 years old. It's 106 years old. So they're really old and they're not getting a lot of attention. So this program basically says to them in a letter, this is a program available. It allows you to plan ahead yourself, set aside your funds, be capable of replacing the lines that fail on your own. Some are able to do that with their handiwork. But with many of those residents, they're going to say, I don't have that. I'm on a fixed income, I'm a lower income resident, and I don't have this kind of solution available to me, so I could never address this. And what that is the National League of Cities Service Line Program says to them, if you need help, the water line program of this is something you qualify with because there is no pre-existing condition exclusion. So they're gonna call and say, hey, I think I would like to try and use this. How do I know if I qualify? They say, when you turn on your water, does your water come out? Yeah, then your water line qualifies. If you flush the toilet, does the water go away? Yeah, well then your sewer line qualifies. If you want to use the water line program, it's $5.75 each 1 month that you want to use it. You can use it 1 month or 3 months or 3 years, and you can cancel at any time. The sewer line is $7.75 each 1 month you want to use that. The interior water and sewer both inside the structure of your house is $9.99, and that covers even stopped up toilets. So what we're doing is we're paying attention to the infrastructure on their side so that they can keep up with the improvements that the city's making, but without having to take loans or anything like that. This is not a loan. When they sign up to use it, they use it until there's a problem. Once the problem is there, they can cancel. The day after we come and replace the line, they can say, I want to cancel, and it's done. That's the end of it. There is no other cost in that $5.75. That's that monthly amount until that moment. So, any questions?
You might mention that you're going to use local contractors for this work?
That's true. This program, we don't bring in contractors. We actually set up your network of local businesses to do the work. Let me be straightforward on this. Is the problem is the cost. So your residents don't have the means and the funds for that. Your local businesses are willing to help, but somebody has to help pay for this. So now your local contractor is able to say, I'm headed out to Miss Williams, the program's sending me out. When I finish, the program electronically pays me directly. We work with all the city contractors, but also, depending on how many contractors there are, we may work in your county or surrounding counties to make sure we have enough contractors, because we work based on the worst case scenario, quite frankly, tornadoes, things like that, when you may have hundreds of problems in 1 week, and we need to be able to address all of them immediately. So, questions?
How about a deductible?
There is no deductible. So when the resident comes out and says, you're here to fix my sewer line issue or my water line issue, what do I owe you? There is no other cost. You paid your $5.75, you paid that. There is no $50, $100 call out fee, there's none of that. There is no limit on the number of incidents either. So if you have 6 problems, 12 problems a year, I say that because mainly stopped up toilets is a really heavy one. So you got kids, they're sticking things in the toilet. You can call us every week if you want, but that's part of the program. So that's how that works. We discussed how that would affect you. You'll have some tenant properties, and tenant properties are very heavy on that. So landlords like the program because to them it allows their residents to call directly to the program, get immediate help 24 hours a day. They don't have to call them because they know they're already locked in. They don't have a cost to worry about. So, what we're looking for in order to make the program available is we ask that the city pass a resolution authorizing the National League of Cities to communicate the National League of Cities Service Line Program to your residents. That means we send that letter out, as I mentioned. Every time we send that letter out, not just today when you say, that's a great idea, go ahead, but each time we communicate, we will put back in the hands of your administrator the letter and say, hey, we're going to send it out in 2 weeks. Is everything okay? Is everybody at the city Everything's going great? Yes. Then we proceed. If at any time, anything comes up where you have a question, you just would like someone to come and do an open house to just discuss it a little more, you can say, hey, we need that. And so we hesitate in time to let that happen until you say, we're good, go ahead. And we do that because we want the city to have oversight of this program. We're giving that to you in an agreement that says that's how we work. And we do that because we need your oversight to keep our feet to the fire, to make sure we're listening and living up to your local standards. So when we do a repair, it's going to be done with your city, up to your city code, with your city permits, with your city inspections. Every time we do a plumbing or a sewer line or a water line, or we enter a street, because we actually cover repairing the right-of-way as well as the street. Every time we repair a street, we're going to ask the city to come and do an inspection. We'll pull permits, of course, but come do that inspection so that you know we returned it to at or better than what you had it at when we started the repair. So,
Lee, what do you want us to do?
I offered a resolution, and I can verbalize it very easily. The resolution is simple. The council could make a motion, I would like to make a motion authorizing the city to enter into an agreement to communicate the National League of Cities service line program to our residents at no cost to the city, using no city tax dollars, as a voluntary program for all of our residents, with no requirement for any resident to participate. All in favor, say aye. That's it.
Okay, as I said before, we aren't gonna be able to do that tonight. Dave is gonna look at this and, see if we can do this, and then we'll bring it back for a vote. That'll be the 14th of October.
Okay.
So, and I appreciate you coming and explaining it. I think it's much better to do it in person, so now everybody has an idea. Susan?
Are there towns around here that participate in this program?
Yes, as a matter of fact, in Missouri, there are 38 cities that already have this program. Kansas City has had it for 7 years, Independence, Odessa, I'm going from memory, but I think Raytown, Smithville, Jonesburg, Town and Country, University City, Pine Lawn, Diggins.
Pretty good memory.
Yeah, well, I speak on this for you. I just finished your Missouri Municipal League. Your Missouri Municipal League has endorsed this program because there are so many cities that have had this so long. And I bring that up, your city attorney's here. The nice thing about our relationship is that we have over 700 cities across the nation, from as large as the city of Los Angeles is a program partner for this. But to smaller cities like Diggins. And the issue is every year, every single letter we send out is because each city has said, you're doing a great job, keep going. And that's where we come back to the city every time, not just this time. And we reassure you that every time you ask, we're here just as supportive as we are now. So,
Well, we'll let you know. I don't think the date will take too long, and we'll be able to get something, communication back.
may I offer an idea? If you're interested, maybe you make a motion contingent upon the city attorney's approval.
What would do any good, it still comes out the same way at the end of the day. So, let's just wait till October, and we can vote on it.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
DeMar, do you have a copy of the resolution that he's
Yes.
talking about? Okay,
Yes.
and you can forward that or give that to me.
And
Thank
I
you.
also have the marketing agreement.
Marketing agreement.
LL.
Yeah.
Is that in our packet here?
No.
What do you need? Yeah, that one's electronic, so I can.
Okay,
He
good.
has it both ways, just so you
The
know.
marketing agreement is what the citizens would sign with you?
No, just the city. Yeah, the citizens actually don't sign
Oh,
anything.
no, okay.
That's the rates. Okay?
Yep. And for your attorney, FYI, you have it electronically, so if you need it in Word, let me know. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good
We
evening.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Lee.
Okay, the next piece of business is Gary Liebman and the Caboose Restoration Committee report.
I wish to thank the Board of Aldermen, especially the mayor, for 15 months ago authorizing myself, Gary Liebman, and Paul Eubanks to be co-chair on creating a committee and fixing the caboose up. And it took us 12 months to raise $6,000 and get it painted. We now have a bright red caboose downtown. This has sort of been our mascot. So here's the status. We just received on Thursday a grant from the Missouri Humanities Council for $6,638 to create a museum inside this 38-ton, 30-foot long caboose. We have a plan. We've already received a gift of photographs and advertisements, and the model train, a model train that's 90 inches long, Lionel size, that's currently at the Amtrak station. So these are just the beginning of creating a museum inside. We have the funding for the display, the funding for hosting a party, which our goal is to work with the Chamber of Commerce on Freedom Festival and have our grand opening on the 4th of July. We will be inviting the governor. Actually, we've already invited the governor and other representatives in the state and federal government. And we've lined up William Least-Heat Moon to be a speaker. He's an author, and the first poet laureate of the state of Missouri, Walter Bargan, is committed to come also, and he's going to write a special poem about railroading. And the festivity is part of the plan. The funding that we received is for the displays, but it does not cover the final bit of expenses we need with local contractors to have electricity brought in, to get the lighting for the displays, the creation of steps so it's safe for people stepping down. Right now it's a 16-inch last step. So we have these things budgeted. It's about $5,000, and we will be raising that money locally. But we are moving forward, and that's our target date.
Gary, why don't you step over here so you can be on television? I really like your hat. I always wanted one of those. This camera's back there.
Oh,
Hold
I
up
see.
your, and while he's standing there, let me tell you that this is an example of citizens' efforts at work. We tried to paint it before, we tried to fix the outside of it. We had individuals working on it, but Gary asked, he said, why can't I fix that? I said, I don't know. Why can't you? He said, I'd like to be able to, I think I could get a group together, and we could raise money, and we could fix that. And I said, perfect, that's exactly what we need to do. It's right then, it was not attractive. It was old and dilapidated, and wasn't painted, and looked dirty and dangerous and foreboding. But now it's back to its attraction as a landmark for Herman. People will take pictures in front of it. They'll meet at it. They'll say, meet me at the caboose. And there's all kinds of good things. And it's this group of individuals that worked out there during the rain, when it was 100, all times during the year, at various stages of doing things, scraping, sandblasting, on the roof, painting the roof, all kinds of work, all done by them, that could be done by them. And so I want to thank you and your committee, and I'm sure the aldermen would like to thank you too, and the rest of the city officials, for seeing a need and volunteering and getting it done. And like I say often, Margaret Thatcher said sometimes talking about things is not good enough. You actually have to do something. And they actually did something. So thanks, I appreciate it. October 14th. We have a second reading, and Dave, you want to pick up with 2019-37?
Bill number 2019-37 on for second reading. An ordinance to approve a creative services agreement by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Branding Bear LLC.
Okay. We've discussed it once. Is there any further discussion this time?
I make a motion we approve bill number 2019-37 for second reading.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried.
Next is bill number 2019-38 on for second reading. It would be an ordinance to amend section 150.090 user fees of chapter 150 parks of the municipal code of the city of Herman.
Second reading of this, is there any need for discussion on it? Motion.
I make a motion, I move that bill number 2019-38 be declared second read and upon signature of the mayor and city clerk become ordinance number 2019-38.
I'll second.
We have a motion made over there and seconded here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried.
Next on for first reading is bill number 2019-39, an ordinance authorizing reclassification of designated land and amendment of the city's zoning district map. And if you look at this ordinance, this is really just a housekeeping measure to go ahead and have an ordinance that we can pass on to the surveyors to redo our zoning map to reflect that these lots here are going to now be, or and have been since we had the hearings, R2 two-family residential.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve bill number 2019-39.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and duly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we ought to read that twice. Dave, do the honors.
Bill number 2019-39, an ordinance authorizing reclassification of designated land and amendment of the city's zoning district map.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move that bill number 201939 be declared second read and upon signature of the mayor and city clerk becomes ordinance number 2019-39.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. So that one we can cross off our list. Okay?
Next is bill number 2019-40, an ordinance to approve a contractual agreement between the city of Herman, Missouri and the Herman Area Chamber of Commerce for management of the website www.visitherman.com.
Do I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we also approve bill number 2019-40.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's passed. This is a little, we may want to discuss this. We may want to vote on it or not. This is an ordinance that will transfer the actual sitting of our municipal court to the circuit court. And we have looked at this to see if we should do it or not. We've had meetings on it. Tricia's done a lot of research on it. Anita's done a lot of research. She's the clerk for the municipal court. Basically, what it does is it moves the actual setting of the court from this room to the courthouse. It moves the municipal aspect to the associate circuit judge of Gasconade County. Saves us a little money, and we keep our prosecutor. So we have the same prosecutor, different judge, different venue, and we probably will save a little money on it. We may have to, people that are ticketed or whatever, may have to wait a little longer because the way they're doing it now, they're actually doing the entire docket, and ours comes at the end. So they're doing municipal part at the end. Owensville, Rosebud, Gasconade, and another one have already changed. We would be the last one, and we really wanted to make sure we had it right. There are going to be some changes at the state level in the law. This was all driven by Senate Bill 5, which was the aftermath of Ferguson. And anyway, there's going to be some changes made to improve the status and the strength and strengthen the municipal courts, not to the point they were before, but to improve their ability to get somebody to come to court. But that will still be in effect if whether we move it or not. So it's not a yay or nay thing. And I'm sure that Trish and Anita, do you want to add anything to that? We do not have to discuss this or vote on it tonight, but I would like to get this. It may be that all 4 aldermen need to know about this and be here to discuss it. I have no problem with that. But if we're going to vote on it next time, maybe we could vote on it twice and get it over with and get it moving, because we're up against a time frame, and these two know better than I do. But we have to switch over where we send the tickets. And that is coming up November 1st, I believe. So if we wait till October 14th, we're going to read it twice, because that just gives us one extra meeting. So I don't know. I kind of hate doing it without Alderman Fairburn. We can still do it. Do you want to vote tonight?
I think we should move forward on it.
Agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion to accept this ordinance?
Let me go ahead and do the reading.
Okay.
Bill number 2019-41 for first reading, an ordinance electing to have all City of Herman municipal ordinance violations heard and determined by an Associate Circuit Court Judge of the Gasconade County Circuit Court, 20th Judicial Circuit.
Okay, since we've discussed it, do I have a motion?
I move that bill number 2019-41 be declared first read.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Dave will get a chance to talk about it next time. Okay, the next one, Dave?
Bill number 2019-42, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Corrective Asphalt Materials for application of restorative sealer on city streets.
Do you want to explain that, or?
It's the CRF that we put on some streets, trying to save them, give them some life so we can come back and pave them. We've been doing it now for several years. It seems to be holding up nice and giving us a little more life. Todd really likes it.
That's good, because we now have a few years of leeway till we get to it with our street plan.
Right.
So, that's kind of what it is. Do we have any other discussion of it?
I'll make a motion to approve bill number 2019-42.
And I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do it again, please.
Well, can we do it again?
Because of weather-related issues, we need to get this done soon.
Okay.
Bill number 2019-42, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the City of Herman, Missouri and Corrective Asphalt Materials for application of restorative sealer on city streets.
I move that bill number 2019-42 be declared second read, and upon signature of the mayor and city clerk becomes ordinance number 2019-42.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and duly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're finished with that. Okay, next.
Next is bill number 2019-43, an ordinance to amend table 3A stop signs of Schedule 3 of the City of Herman, Missouri Traffic Code. So if you read it, it establishes new stop signs at the locations described.
Which are, for those who can't see it and are concerned or interested, it is, there are 2 locations, not including Washington. Am I correct?
Well, it's West 6th Street at Gaethje Street from the west,
Right?
West 7th Street at Gaethje Street from the west, and West 5th Street at Mozart Street from the east and west.
Okay, so there's 3. Those are the 3 we're approving. Is that what everybody?
Only question I had, I'd mentioned to Mark, was on West 6th Street at Gaethje from the west, I think we also put one from the east there. And the same thing on 7th and 8th. So that's covered by a different
This
ordinance.
street's going both ways.
Yeah, well, I think the one at West 6th, I think there was one on the east side
Right.
also that we put in.
And if we-
But on West 7th, there was already one. No. Yeah, there was already one
By the
east.
school.
Need one coming east.
You added one on West 6th Street by Wagner's there too, or,
That's the first one.
That's
On West 6th,
That's
it's
the
east and
Gaethje.
west.
Okay.
Yeah, West 6th, it's east and west.
East
Yes.
and
Fifth or
west.
sixth?
Split it up.
West 6th, yeah. I missed
but
that.
then you added one on 5th Street.
One on 5th Street, east and west.
That's why I was just curious if we have to include the word east on West 6th and Gaethje?
And we do that.
We should.
All right.
Okay,
West 7th, you think is covered by previous ordinance?
There was a stop sign already there. We put one on the,
We put one on the west side because of
for traffic coming east.
okay, have we got it? Dave, do you have it? Is
Yes.
it clear? All right, we have that. Any further discussion? Do we have a motion? How about Jim?
the, yeah. I'll move that bill number 2019-43 with the update adding east, I think, on the 6th Street one, be first reading.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have an ordinance, Dave, do you want to read it? So I get out of whack here, but,
Next is bill number 2019-44. It would be an ordinance to amend the Herman Municipal Code to establish public transit system regulations within the city.
and this is one that I kind of want to speak on a little bit. As probably everybody here knows, and a lot of people that aren't here know, that Mr. Sanderlin operates Herman Trolley, and he has lion's share of all the business in that area. And anyway, I wanted to tell you that we started a year ago to talk about this. And it kind of gained steam in the last 3 months. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting, because being the largest provider of transportation services, it seemed like he would know more than anybody, so I wanted to talk to him. We had we probably met 25 times. I don't know, 30, whatever, I wasn't counting. But we met. And we really got to where I learned a lot about the business. And I can see a lot of his points. So we drew this up with Dave's help over that period so that they really wouldn't have an effect on him operating his business. That was the main thing. So I wanted to tell you that as we had to get started. One of the main purposes of this entire thing, for our collaboration, was to make certain the ordinance did not have a negative effect. It didn't cause him a bunch of heartache and grief. And I think we've actually done that. We don't want to have a negative effect on his ability to operate in Herman. He provides a service, he moves people around. I've been told by people in the tourism business that the more you can move people around, the more new things they see, the more new places they go, the more money they spend. And that's a good thing. So, it's not just Kevin that told me that, I've heard that from a number of places. I think it's important. I'm going to explain that the ordinance does not make his operation safer. his operation is already safe. He did have an incident, but it wasn't his fault, and the accidents are by definition things that randomly happen that aren't people's fault. So this in and of itself is not going to make him, what did PF Flyers say, you can jump higher and run faster? It is going to make that happen. So that's not the purpose of it. It relies on, here's what it basically says. It gives us all the information in one place, copies of we know who's driving the trolleys, that they have an adequate driver's license, that we know that they've been inspected. We're not going to inspect these. There's no reason to do that. They're inspected by MoDOT, and that's good enough for us. Better than we could do it, there's no way. Just show us a copy of it. We're not going to issue driver's licenses. The state does that. We don't have, they need driver's licenses for places outside of Herman, so they'll handle that. Proof of insurance, he'll just show us a copy of that. Proof of inspections, he'll show us copies. We don't need to do those things. It puts all the rules and guidelines in one place and makes things easier to find and understand and less susceptible to misinterpretation. That, like I said, I've learned a lot. I appreciate the instructions and how things work, and it's good. So I'd like to really thank Kevin for actually helping us and trying to enlighten us and actually doing that and working with us. And Kevin, do you want to come up and say anything that about this, or?
Is it finished, Dave? Is it
As far as
finished?
I'm concerned, it is,
Yes?
yes. I don't have any more additions or changes to make.
No, the only thing that I would say is, the mayor and I got along very well as far in the city and for the people that do come here. There were some things there is some confusion. I have always operated under the Department of Transportation and federal laws, and they're very strict. The only thing that we have changed in this whole thing is an open container law. The city has one, so I got to abide by a city's open container law. Okay, that's understandable. The other one that I'm concerned about is a nuisance law. You can't have a nuisance law unless you know what a nuisance is or unless you can define a nuisance. You might have a nuisance and she might like it. So how do you split the hairs? That's the only thing that we had a problem with, okay? And, you know, I was concerned about somebody just calling in the hotline. It's not seen by the police, who have probably helped me more than anybody put my business back, you know, put it back to where it operates even better than it did before. They can't be everywhere, the police can't. But they're paid to do their job and they do it well. And I hope we can count on them and their instincts. And where somebody calls in and says, hey, I just seen a glass go up in the air and the guy's drinking. Well, I don't know what it is. None of us would know what it is. Now, you know, there's a 95% chance it is alcohol. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm fooling you guys. We're going to keep that down. We're going to do everything reasonable possible that we can. You know, and sometimes we can't. You know, but I would hope that, I know if the chief is on the other side of town and and his officers are, that I hope somebody doesn't waste his time to try to track one of the 7 trolleys down. Because there's more important things, I believe. You've made an ordinance, or we're going to make one for transportation. I don't think it's comprehensive. It's a comprehensive transportation bill. There's a lot of Oates buses coming here that aren't MoDOT regulated. There's a lot of party buses. I'm kind of honored I'm separated from them. I'm kind of honored I've got my own bill. We'll do a good job of trying to follow it. That's all I can say, is we're going to try the hardest we can. And we have mostly. I'm not going to fool you. The alcohol and maybe the nuisances might be a little bit outrageous, but we bring people here to have a good time, and we'll continue to do it. You know, for a scale of what we've done in 11 years is pretty good. And we've got a pretty good hold on what's going on every Saturday. But I appreciate the time. And like I said, I'm honored you wanted to put together a bill for the Herman trolley. hope it's here 20 years from now. I know I can't take it another 20, but I hope it's here. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
You bet.
I think some of the things he talked about, we may have actually changed, and, but there's certainly concerns. And they're legitimate concerns for him. And how much noise is too much noise? How do we know how much noise is there? How can we judge that? Who do we go by? It's all in here, or in some cases not in here anymore, because we decided we couldn't really make a definitive statement that actually did what we needed to be done. So we're leaving it up to him. I think he has to noise-wise keep the noise so that the driver can communicate with the people. You could do that with a loudspeaker, I guess, but other than that, I don't know that it's actually in there. We do cover almost everything that Kevin discussed, and but he has really worked on this, and I appreciate it. So anyway, I don't know if we want to vote on it tonight.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Well, first of all, it's establish a public transportation system. Doesn't the word public, isn't that normally a city-run operation? No, I'm looking for clarification here. The word public, is there a tie from the word public to city? That we have any liability with that terminology? I don't know, it's something to look at. I was asked that question, I didn't have an answer.
What do you think, Dave?
No, I don't think public means city, like that it's city provided. I think it can mean a system that provides services to the public, which is what the Herman Trolley does.
Okay, that was one of my questions. The other thing, if you look at the, under taxi cabs, number 650, that's no more than 10 people. The trolley is over 15 passengers, and I know this doesn't really affect what we're doing, but we have a void there. What about the 15 passenger vans? What about, there's nothing to cover that either in a taxi cab or this piece of paper, which I really don't think we need to do. He's DOT regulated. I don't even know why we have to mess with it. But anyway, the other thing that I noticed, that taxi cab, their fee is $50 a year, and the trolleys are $32.50. So shouldn't shouldn't we lower the taxi cab
Yeah,
fee if we're gonna do
I think that-
$32.50 with him? I mean, that's only fair. I mean, we don't have any taxis at
Right.
this time.
We didn't really spend a lot of time on that just because we don't have any. but
I know
You're
that.
right on both of those things.
I'm just saying, trying to cover the bases so down the road you don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly, and
Does
that's
Kay
something to
take
change.
care of the number of people, number of passengers in vehicle?
Right.
Does that take care of this concern?
Well, I think this is for trolleys and buses, and we need, as Bruce first pointed out, we did not address the 10 to 15 passenger vehicles, which we
Which
initially.
he also has one.
Well, he does, and.
Well, I'm just saying, so
the only thing
technically
we-
that should be in there because he's got one.
Well, but it should be in a special other category for vans. We did cover, in his case, we covered it in, I think there's another section. It used to be 661, and Dave renumbered it so that it made more sense. And it basically covers contract carriers. And Kevin's a common carrier, except for his van and other vans around town. I guess I agree with you, we ought to have one for vans, but it's more like taxis than it is this, and it's separate from this. So, I think we should have another one. You're right.
And I personally think that this is one of them that you ought to wait till the other aldermans here before things. That's just me personally.
I think that one's fine with me. We wait till next time to vote on it. Unless,
In case he's got questions.
well, I'm afraid, we got 3 people here. If he's concerned, I think we ought to wait, because we just discussed that. So we're gonna wait on this.
Question on there, I know it stipulates the state law I'm looking at, .090 operating regulations. It refers to state law. I'm sure that also the state doesn't have conflict with the FMCA, the Federal Motor Carriers, where their requirements of post-trip, pre-trip inspections and hours of service is kept also,
Does this have to do with the handrails and the back rails?
which is operating regulations.
Well, he's DOT regulated, so he
Right.
gets inspected all the time, so I'm really not worried about
No,
that
I
part
think
of
he
it. That's
just
why I
shows us
say,
the copy.
some of this to me is redundant because he's already,
Yeah, he's
already
just
doing
on it, but if we're gonna make a law,
I think we ought to get a
DOT, Department of Transportation is not mentioned. But
We'll look at
Not
that,
a
Kevin
short
knows
time.
about it. I think that if he meets federal, if state and federal regulations and shows us a copy of the inspection, then we shouldn't be worried at all with any, that's their specialty, it's not our specialty. Let's just accept it and move on. Don't you agree, Bruce? Okay, we're gonna discuss this the second time on the 14th of October. And Kevin, you're welcome to come, and we appreciate you. Thank you, I really do. Thanks. Okay. Now we have a resolution.
Is that officially tabled then?
Yes, well, yes, it's tabled. We will vote on it on, take it up again on the 14th and vote on it. I intend to vote on it then, if the board so sees fit. So we'll table that. Okay. We have a resolution. Dave, do you want to read those?
The first is a resolution authorizing the issuance of festival space permits for October.
Okay, and Trish, are these the same? We just do this way every time?
Yes, the vendors may change a little bit, but yes, this is our standard, resolution we do for, Oktoberfest, for the vendors.
Okay, and being a resolution, do you want to pass that? I can take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have Bruce with the
I'll
motion,
second.
and we have Jim with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that was,
Can we have Marlon turn the air conditioning up a little bit? I'm freezing to death.
you're freezing?
I
In other
am
words-
freezing. Can we
Could you
please?
I
maybe-
second the motion.
Thank you.
Turn it up. I have a motion.
Warm in here.
Dan Wilson and
Make it warmer.
It's hot in here.
All opposed, nay?
Thank you.
Stay away, so.
for lack of a second.
Next is resolution number 1270, a resolution to authorize the termination of the recreational league management agreement by and between the city of Herman, Missouri and Todd Hamlet, Michael Dare, and Tournament Sports Management LLC, with the Herman Youth League proposal attached.
This has been, Bruce, discussed.
Yeah, as long as, I don't know if Jim's aware of what's going on here, there's a local group now that has stepped forward to take a responsibility of our young people's sports, and they have been to several park board meetings and made presentations. They have their bylaws, and they've been working really hard trying to get things going, but they're at a point now where they need to know where we stand to approve them so they can move forward. So by terminating this, that also moves them forward.
So we're gonna give, this does two things. It tells them yay, but it also sets the other group, it gives them their 90-day notice. That
Right.
we're no longer,
In other
so
words-
it makes everything legit.
Right. Tim is here, you're the president, acting president or president, and so he's a representative. If you have any questions, you can direct straight to him. I'm just relaying what was at the meetings.
I think this has been looked at by the park board.
Oh, yes, very
Bruce
thoroughly.
We've had several meetings, even Trish was involved in it, so I feel comfortable it's been looked at. And I think we can move on it if we want to.
Can we clarify something?
Sure.
When, if and when we terminate this contract, is that through the whole contract? I mean, will they still do the basketball?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve resolution number 1270.
Have a
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Congratulations.
You can move forward.
Move forward. Okay, under old business, we have, we had discussion the last meeting or two about the tourism director's salary and expense allocation. Jim, do you want to get into that? And I think the decision tonight would be, if we do want a formal resolution, what should it be?
Well, I was looking at since the tourism tax has grown over the years, and Tammy's doing an awesome job, and it continues to grow. And we're ahead this year, which we were ahead last year, so it's paying off, it's doing good. And it was talked about as letting it stand on its own, meaning let's use the money raised from the tourism tax to help pay towards the tourism director's salary. And it's just in the talking stage right now. And I've got with our city clerk, and she did put together some alternatives on ways to proceed. And both of them kind of leads to the point where we're gonna do a gradual move, so Tammy's budget doesn't get whammied all of a sudden. But that's where we're at with it now, and I would ask the other aldermen and maybe wait for David to come back when we get his input. Is Tricia did have laid out here 2 scenarios to consider, and I think that's where we're at this time.
Did I hear you say at one time that Dwayne Cranley told you that this was the way it was originally intended?
Originally, I was told that in 2004, 2005, Phyllis Hanna was the chamber's president, and that's about the time frame the tourism tax started. And she said it was her goal to, once it's up and rolling, that the tourism tax would fund the tourism director's salary. Well, now it's been 15 years, and we got a gal that's really just kicking some butt, getting tourism better and better and better. It's growing. The campgrounds are full of a bunch of campers. So I think it's now maybe to start venturing in the original ideal stated 15 years ago.
Okay,
Do you have a-
wait a second. Just a second. So what we're talking about would be using these 2 examples as a resolution, maybe Dave could work on, and then have a further discussion of it at the next meeting. But we aren't voting on anything now.
Correct.
Okay. Mary, can you
Yes.
come forward? You want to talk?
I do. Briefly. I'm just here to represent the Tourism Commission, and just to remind you that you have a group of 5 people who are committed to being your advisors on this matter. So I know you're not required to talk to us, but just wanted to remind you that you have people from the lodging industry, from general tourism, and from general businesses represented by that group. And it's our job to advise you on the spending of the lodging tax. That's our only job. So just,
And you have a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock,
we do.
and I'll be there.
All right.
And I think we have a really good tourism board that has top-notch people in it and is making good decisions. So I'm interested in listening to what you have to say about that. So I'll be there and we can talk about it.
I don't know that we'll have anything to say tomorrow, but we'd certainly like to hear the proposals.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come up with something. In 2 weeks, we'll have another board meeting. So if you have a chance to talk with your members, come with suggestions or ideas, and I'm sure we'd be
We-
more than happy to entertain.
When we do meet, any issues before us, we send our recommendations back to you through Dave.
That's
who's our
fine.
liaison.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
This is something that came up at the actually last week, and it's we have a solicitor's license, and we have a man who actually pays the solicitor's license fee of, is it free? It's free, isn't it? It's free. He doesn't pay anything. It's free. and it's good for 20 days. And basically, in the old days, we just wanted to know who was peddling
14.
brushes or 14 days. Or whatever it was, from door to door, so we knew who was in town, and we knew how, we probably asked where they were staying, so we could catch up with them if we had complaints and stuff. But that's not really happening much anymore. But this person uses it, this license, because he hangs hang tags on doors, and he wants to make sure he's all legitimate. But he has to come every 14 days to get this. And I'm wondering why we can't do this for 90 days. It's free, and he won't have to come back every 2 weeks and get one.
But if this is to cover people from out of town when they come, why would they be here 90 days? Isn't that the whole
Well, yeah,
idea?
but we don't
is
really
to
have
a
many of them.
solicitor come,
We don't have many of them anymore, I don't think.
is this gonna fall under the sign ordinance?
No,
I just give
But
you a
it's-
hard time.
yeah, okay. Trish, do we have a bunch, we don't have very many, do we, peddlers?
No, I don't know if it was last year or maybe 18 months ago, we had a group come into town, we had a whole team, and they were canvassing town to sell a certain product. And so they came back, I think, twice and renewed their license. But it's generally for those types of people, is what I think the ordinance was written for, people from out of town who came to, you know, solicit door to door, and in this case I'm thinking of, they had a whole group of people.
But it's free, so it's not like we get any revenue from it, so it doesn't matter. I just thought maybe you didn't know about it, and we might make it easier, at least on this one person, if we expanded it from beyond 14 days to 30 days or 45 days. But it's only here, it's just new business, doesn't require a code. Just give it some thought and see if we want to do something in the future. Okay. Now we're to our point in the schedule for citizens' comments. Do we have any?
Mary spoke, and I don't know if Mr. Magera wants
Well, I
to-
think he's gone. So, and Mary's spoken, so we don't have anybody to speak that has a card, so we won't have any citizens' comments. We don't have, let's go to motion. Minutes. What do we want to do on minutes? Do we like them? Want to change them? Or do
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
okay, do we have a second?
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Invoices for payments.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Second, motion's made and seconded to pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bills are paid. Approve the reappointment of Chuck Hartbauer and John Lehman to the Landmarks Commission.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Approve the reappointment of John Lewis to the Park Board.
I make a motion to approve, John.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Declare property as surplus. And what property is that?
This skid steer.
And truck, 2001 F-250.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Approve clinic demolition bid for Central Missouri Excavating Contracting Incorporated at $24,874.50. Any discussion?
Little wide difference there in the bid, wasn't there?
The 115 person thought he was going to be the only bidder.
So, sometimes you double up.
Well, no, I just,
Yeah, I know, it's a widespread, and that was his reasoning.
yeah, I make a motion to approve. Get her done.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. I have Jim for the second. All right. Approved bid for pool shade by Fry and Associates for $14,100.
I make a motion to approve that one.
And I'll second.
Okay, motion's made, Jim seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Hire special police officers for Oktoberfest. Marlon, are you gonna have some kind of, training session for these guys?
We speak to them each year before they start about what we expect to be done and what they need to enforce. So we have a meeting every year before
Okay.
it starts.
Okay, thank you, I thought so. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to hire the special police officers for Oktoberfest.
Second.
Made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Caterers permit Adam Brook Winery, Witches and Wine, 4th and Schiller Street, event area, October 17th, 2019.
Make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on that end. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Caterers permits, Adam Pukta Winery, J.C.'s Oktoberfest Drinking Garden, Sesquicentennial Park, October 4, 5, 12, and 19, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Caterers permits, Hermanoff Incorporated, Blackshire at the Off Garden, 111 Gutenberg Street, October 5, 6, 12, 13, 19, 20, 26, and 27, 2019.
Make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have a festival event application, St. George Church, Dinner and Country Store, 128 West 4th Street, October 13, 2019.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded over here. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Festival event application, Herman's Lions Club, concession stand, trolley lot at First and Schiller, October 5, 6, 12, 13, 19, 20, 26, and 27, 2019.
Make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded on that end. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Festival event application, Perseverance Foundation, Crafts and Bake Sale, parking lot at 137 East First Street, October 19, 2019.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Festival event application, sign and sticker implement, sales display, 603 Market Street, Farmer Permitted Parking Lot, October 5, 6, 12, and 13, 2019.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good, motion carried. Okay, there be no,
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Could we add that one agenda item for the hiring of the dispatcher?
so we're amending the agenda to add the hiring of a dispatcher.
Kelly Kearns. Kelly Lynn Kearns.
Yeah, that was right in the thing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, and do have the information somewhere. Her name, Kelly Ann Kearns, and a full-time dispatcher, chief. This is your recommendation?
Yes, that's what we approved to hire for the position.
Okay.
She has 13 years experience in dispatching, so she should be up to speed pretty quick.
Very good. Any further discussion?
Make a motion we approve it.
I'll
No.
second.
Third.
Too late. She got you. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. So, we have no reports. We'll have a closed session, so we need to move into that. So we need a motion and then a vote.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to legal actions, cause of action, litigation, or privileged communications between the city's representatives and its attorneys, section 610.0211 revised statutes of Missouri.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, why don't we start this in with your vote? Jim? I need to vote yea?
Yea.
Yea.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we have that, we're in closed session, I'm gonna take about 5 minutes. So we'll get started in 5 minutes.
Mine is just spaced out to I wasn't paying attention to George.
Yeah,
He said all day, and he said he was a leader, and I thought, God, he said, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you, just let me know.
Thank you
Good
all.
luck to you guys.
You're welcome.
That's what we need. We need something. We need something. We've got something. You can do it.
Okay, well.
Thank you so
we'll
much.
have, I know we have a whole bunch
You
of
should
stuff.
stop by and see us. We're in the basement.
You're in the basement.
Let me catch some.
What room are you in? The front room?
Thank you.
The one where Mary was last year.